In this video, we'll demonstrate how to declare and initialize variables in Java 11. For this demonstration, we've created a Java project titled Course Samples. The first task is to create a class, using which we can declare and initialize variables. To create a class, we'll right-click on the folder src from the Package Explorer panel. Select the option New followed by Class. We'll name the class as Employee, and then click Finish to launch it in the Editor panel. Now in Java 11, we can broadly classify variables into three different types: a class variable, interface variable, and a local variable. We'll start with the first type of variable, which is a class variable. To declare the class variable, we'll use the keyword static in line 4, followed by the data type int and a name for the variable name. For example, we'll name it as employee number. To initialize the variable, we'll use the operator equal to, and we'll initialize it with the value 100. The class variable employee number will be accessible using the class name. Next is the instance variable. To declare this variable, we'll specify string, followed by employee name in line 5. In this case, string is the data type and employee name is the name of the variable. And in order to access this variable, we'll need to create an instance of the variable. The third variable is the local variable. To declare the local variable, we'll first write a method called public void display in line 7. And within this method, in line 9, we'll specify int version ID. We'll use the operator equal to and initialize the variable with the value 1. Now the scope of the local variable is only within the opening and closing of the method. In other words, a local variable is only accessible within the methods that they're initialized in. So these are the three different types of variables that we can use in Java. Having declared and initialized these variables, we'll now try to access them. To do that, we need to first create a driver class, which will contain the entry point method main. To create the driver class, we'll right-click on the package Course Samples, select the option New, followed by Class. We'll name the class driver. Enable the option Public Static Void Main from the provided method stubs, and click Finish to launch it in the Editor panel. We'll first try to access the class variable employee number. To do that, in line 7, we use the print statement system.out.println. Pass the name of the class employee, and select the variable employee number. We won't need to create an instance of class variable that are declared using the keyword static in order to access them. We'll click the stacked save icon from the toolbar to save all the class files. To run the driver class, we'll right-click within the class file, select Run As, followed by Java Application. We can observe that the console prints the value 100, which is the value for the variable employee number that we declared in the class employee. Now let's try to access the instance variable employee name. But before we do that, we'll initialize it with the name Cody. We'll save the changes and switch the editor view to the driver class to try to access the instance variable employee name. To try and access the instance variable, we'll replace the variable employee number with employee name in line 7. The compiler, which is implicitly built in Eclipse, displays an error message snippet that reads, "Cannot make a static reference to the non-static field, employee.employee_name," which basically means that we cannot access this variable without an instance of this variable. To create the instance, we'll print the statement to line 8, and in line 7, we'll specify employee obj equal to new employee. And in line 7, we'll replace the class name employee with obj. As soon as we made these changes, the compiler error is resolved. We'll save the changes and run it again. To run the code, we'll right-click within the class file, select the option Run As, followed by Java Application. the console prints the string value of the variable Cody. Now the final task is to illustrate how to access the local variable version ID. We'll switch the editor view to the class employee. In order to access local variables, we have to call the method within which they're initialized. Local variables are not accessible outside the method. So in line 10, within the method display, we'll specify the print statement system.out.println and pass the local variable version ID. We'll save the changes and switch the editor view back to the driver class and try to call the method display. We'll add the specification to call the method in line 9. Since we define the method as a non-static method in the class employee, we have to call the method with an object name. So we'll specify obj.display. We'll save the changes and run it as a Java application. The console prints the value of the local variable, which is 1. We can declare variables in a statement and initialize them in the same statement using the operator equal to. We can even initialize the variables in other statements after the variables have been declared in some other statements. And this was a simple demonstration of how we can declare, initialize, and access different types of variables in Java 11.